Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining Room for Seconds. Today, I am so honored and so excited because I get to introduce a friend of mine that I have come to get to know over the last couple months, but somebody that should have never agreed to be on my podcast. So Ndamukong Suh, what I would call future Hall of Famer, which I know may or may not happen, but you kicked the crap out of my Bears for years. So in my eyes, you're a future Hall of Famer. Thank you for joining us.
Excited. Obviously good to reconnect. And I know we haven't spoken in a couple months or a couple weeks, but excited to be on the podcast and talk about all the great stuff that you've been going on and go from there.
So everyone, quick rundown of how we met. Ndamukong Suh has an incredible restaurant background, which nobody would know about, and is completely passionate about the stuff that I love to do. So I had the honor to going out and visiting some of his restaurants, and we're completely blown away by what they're doing. And as we got to know each other, we kept talking, and I went out on a limb and said, "Come on, do my podcast." And he agreed. So, I mean, it is really, really cool. Obviously, you've played professional sports. You are a beast on the field. And I told you when I got out of the car after I got to know you a little bit, I hated you as a player because you always killed me.
Yeah.
That intensity and that focus, though, made you who you are, and gives you that same results. And what people don't realize is that most athletes, when they leave, don't go and do something as cool as you are doing and have some of the mentors that you have.
Yeah.
What inspired you to get out of football and then go all in on business and trying to be this incredible human and helping others and giving back the way you have?
Yeah, I think it's just in my nature. And I'll step back a little bit and say thank you for killing your Bears, because I've always loved the city of Chicago. I've wanted to play for the Bears a month after I left Detroit, but obviously things never came to fruition from that standpoint. And honestly, I think it's one of those cities where they respect the hard-nosed, blue-collar football, and I've always enjoyed their fans, and they've always given me great respect, even though I've always been on the opposite side of them. So big shout-out to Chicago Bear fans and yourself from that standpoint. But then overall, just to answer your other questions, is just, I think for me, no matter what, I'm competitive, whether it's going to be on the football field, on the basketball court, as I love playing basketball in my free time, and beating my wife, who's a Division I basketball player. So, but then obviously translating that into business. And one thing I've always learned is having good quality relationships like yourself and all of my other mentors. That's really how you grow. And for me, I've always had the want to be able to share my experiences that I've been fortunate enough and the great people that I've been able to meet with other people and other athletes and other entertainers that I'm connected to and have relationships with from that standpoint. And really, like, who doesn't love food? Who doesn't have the opportunity, doesn't want to go out and eat a great meal, but now having an opportunity to be hands-on and learn about it and see the growth of different concepts, but then also the ability to save jobs and create jobs and different things from that standpoint. So that's how I kind of look at the overall piece of saying, hey, this is one of the things I love food. I love I didn't get this big without eating a lot of food. So why not be in the industry and also create some exciting and fun concepts at the same time?
So, I mean, before we jump in further, what are some of those concepts? What are you involved in?
So my first ever concept that I first got into, probably pretty odd, was Blue Sushi, a restaurant out of Lincoln, Nebraska. Nobody would have thought of a sushi restaurant in the middle of the country to be the first one and be successful. I've been super lucky. It's been a unicorn. It's been doing really, really well. And it's going on almost 2 decades. I think we got, about 15 years. So 09 was when 09, 10 is when we opened. And so just being able to participate with that, have a great relationship with the flagship restaurant group that I work with there, was my first store. And then I've expanded with them as an individual side of things. And then I moved, obviously coming back home to Portland and growing up here, wanting to be in the fabric of this community. There's 2 main concepts that I'm very, very close to. One being Kinnaman's Bakery, which started about a year and a half ago, which is a play on Cinnabon. Cinnabon you can only get at malls and airports, and so I wanted to find a creative way to be able to do that in the urban core and get that to the everyday people that don't want to go to the malls because malls are dying, and then two, don't always travel or in the airports, and then who doesn't love fried chicken? So Bay's Hot Chicken created right in the heat of the pandemic, probably in 19 and 20, right in that cusp. And obviously went through some trials and tribulations from that standpoint of that being a startup, but it's been doing well. And so excited to have an opportunity to grow both of those concepts and really move forward.
Yeah, Kinnaman's is so good. I mean, it's amazing. And you sort of you downplayed it because you're like, it's like Cinnabon. It is nothing like Cinnabon. Nothing. It is so good, so fresh baked. The ingredients are incredible. You build it. So people got to understand, you walk in and you basically get a cinnamon roll and then you add your toppings. I
Yep.
mean, it's like it's so good and so different, and you don't feel sick after you eat it. And I had a lot of them that day, which is
Yeah.
impressive. And I mean, so you had something, and the look and the space was designed perfectly. I mean, you really did a good job. You and your team kicked ass on that one.
Yeah. Myself and the team are definitely excited about that one, and we feel like it's yes, it's sugar and it plays into everybody of not being on the healthy side of things, no different than ice cream and all that stuff. But if we're going to indulge, let's indulge with high quality products and be able to say, hey, we're going to indulge and have fun with it, but you're not going to feel sick at the end of the day. You're still going to be able to be somewhat energized and moving around and go from that standpoint. So I think that's what we pride ourselves on, having good quality ingredients and at the same time being able to have fun with the different concepts. And especially, I mean, who doesn't love a cinnamon roll?
Who doesn't love any type of
Yeah.
cinnamon roll, ice cream, or anything else you can have in that one? It was awesome.
Yeah.
So as you sit there and you did this and you got into the restaurant industry in my eyes is a lot of failure and a lot of you got to keep going.
For
So
sure.
obviously you've had your ass kicked several times
Yep.
and you've not always been the best on the field and you had to work harder to get there.
Yep.
What translates from the field to now owning a restaurant, owning your own businesses that you can tell people on how the desire to not give up is no different from between the two and how it correlates.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's definitely not fun times. One, dealing with employees, I think it's a very difficult market. So employees, I would look at no different than teammates. You love some of your teammates, you hate some of your teammates, and everything in between. But then also you have coaches, you have GMs, you have presidents, you have CEOs, CFOs. So you have the same similar type of structures when it comes to business and it comes to sports, and having those hierarchies and understanding, saying, all right, technically who's in charge, but then also everybody needs to be accountable for their particular roles and execute at a high level. And if you can't, then we need to find a different way to be able to get that done and also be able to pick up where other people have slack. I'm good at certain spaces. My partners are good at other spaces. And that's how we come together as a collective unit to be able to build and push this forward. And so that for me, as I've been able to grow over the last 10 years, 15 years of being in the business, it's more so seeing what I'm great at, now finding great pieces and great people like yourself to be able to work with and then be able to put honestly fuel on the fire. And I like to say jet fuel on the fire.
Yeah. I mean, that's the fun part, isn't it? I
Yeah.
mean, when you get to see it go. So I want to ask a little, I have to ask a little bit about football or people are going to be pissed at me.
Yeah.
But what was it like winning a Super Bowl? Because I can't even imagine. I mean, I've seen one my entire life as a team that I cheer for,
Yeah.
and I was 8. So it
Yeah.
doesn't count.
No, I mean, winning a Super Bowl, I've been to three and I've lost two out of the three, but winning that one in Tampa Bay was honestly super, super special for a multitude of reasons. One, my wife was pregnant with my boys, or with our boys, our twin boys. So we got to bring them into the world as champions that spring. So won the Super Bowl in February of 21, and then March of 21 our boys came, and then to be the first to ever win in your home stadium, nobody can ever take that away from you. So we got to win the Super Bowl in our home stadium, first to ever do it. And I mean, that's a huge accomplishment that, again, nobody can ever make that statement of saying we won our first home Super Bowl ever. And then just the ability to have gone through, shoot, 10 plus years of my career and have been there close and almost won when I was in LA, 18-19 season. And then turn around 2 years later and win a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay with a collection of guys. And we started out terrible that year. I mean, we were looked at that to be an all-star team and everybody was voting on us. Obviously, the hype of Tom Brady coming to the team. We already had an elite defense. So him adding that to the offensive pieces, having an elite quarterback that with great offensive weapons, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, all these different guys. And you got Antonio Brown, Gronk and whatnot. And then we get midway, 3/4 of the season, we're still in the runnings, but it doesn't look good. And we have a team meeting and really a players meeting. And the guy says, like, all right, man, we got to either put up or shut up. And being a part of that leadership group to be able to get that turned around and get a bunch of strong-willed guys that have kind of their own focuses, but to put all their differences, all their egos to the side and say, all right, let's go win this championship during the pandemic. I mean, that was an incredible feat and something that I take great pride in.
Yeah, it was a pretty impressive run because I mean, as I was sitting there watching it, I remember there ain't a chance you guys are going to come through,
Yeah,
and
three away games, going to Washington, then going to New Orleans, and then I think where was our third game? I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on who our third game was. Yeah, but 3 road games
yeah,
and then coming home for the Super Bowl. I mean, it was set up perfectly.
yeah, it was a story. And I
Yeah.
mean, and you got to be part of it and part of, playing with what most people call the greatest of all time, in Brady. I mean, regardless of the outcome, you were a part of something special,
Yeah.
which is now what you get to continue in your other part of your careers,
Yeah.
which is really, really cool.
No, there's
Um,
31-9. I think the defense did their job that game.
yeah, you guys were good. You were good. So what was the hardest part about giving up football?
Uh, I wouldn't say I've given up football just yet. And really, from everybody thinks I am retired, and I've focused on really not worrying about football. I mean, last year I could have played if I wanted to, but I'm really stubborn when it comes to family and what I want and how I want things to be. I don't want to take away from my wife and my kids and spending time with them. So I've been super stringent on like what my requirements are to be able to go back. And Philly was probably the best scenario, best setup that I had and why I went back. And obviously had a chance to win a Super Bowl. And then turning around to last year and this upcoming season, if the right situation presents itself, which there's been some good conversations in that space, I would definitely consider going back. But I'm also at the same time, I enjoy the business side of the world so much. One, being able to go and do Sky Sports and be an analyst overseas in the UK is an amazing feat, an amazing time to be able to do that. But then also, I get to control my own schedule. I don't have to listen to coaches saying, man, you have meetings at this time, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I get to go and create my own schedule that allows me to, in other spaces, really flourish. And so that's my excitement to be able to say, once I do officially hang up the cleats, this is what it looks like. And this is how I get to be able to push forward and work on things that keep me excited to wake up every single morning. And not saying I don't have the excitement to wake up and go play football, because there is, but at the same time, it's not as excitement as being able to wake up and go into a board meeting room or be able to travel to Australia or to Sri Lanka to go check on your businesses and things like that.
I'm Greg Majewski, and I've been a multi-unit operator for 26 years. I know how great it feels owning the right franchise brand, but choosing the right franchisor feels even better. At Craveworthy Brands, our hospitality-driven culture sets us apart because we're invested in your success at every single stage of your journey. We're operators alongside you, paving the way forward to give you a head start on greatness. Start your franchise journey at craveworthybrands.com. Did you ever think when you were playing that business was going to be where you ended up? Did you know?
Oh yeah, for sure knew. Once my rookie season, and I always kind of had it in the back of my brain, like I wanted to be more successful off the field than I was on the field. But it was more so from a standpoint of that I just had a liking to it. And in my rookie season, I was super fortunate. There's a guy named Gary Schiffman that is a big mentor of mine and has become a business partner in a lot of different facets. But I would go sit in his office every single Friday afternoon and just watch him conduct meetings, calls, all types of things. And to be able to have that experience and just watch and learn and see how he runs and operates his REIT called Sun Communities, like it was one of the best experiences that I had. And then being able to translate that and say, hey, all right, I have been able to get that experience. Now I'm going to go do internship at Nike, go do an internship at Related Group in New York with Stephen Ross and his group. Then be able to go and meet a bunch of different people and have quarterly meetings with Warren Buffett and be able to just soak up the knowledge. Go to the Berkshire Hathaway meeting and see all the different companies he oversees in his conglomerate and touches and feels from that standpoint. Like that's what is the driving force to be able to eventually, hopefully, build something similar to that, or just have an amazing food group, an amazing real estate group, and some fun venture and private equity stuff that you get to work on beside.
It's really, really cool. So you mentioned the name I've been waiting for you to mention.
Yeah.
So how did you get connected with Mr. Buffett? How did that happen?
The first ever meeting was he was an honorary captain my senior year, Nebraska. So it was weird. Like one of my coaches come in and said, "Hey, honorary captains, Warren Buffett's one of them. One, do you even know who he is?" I'm like, "The richest man in the world at the time." I was like, "Yeah, I happen to know who he is." And then like, he went to school here, and I was like, "Ah, I didn't know that." And so went out and I was a captain, obviously, my senior year and a couple of years before. We went out and did captainship. Super nice. Got to talk to him in the locker room before the game and as well as after. And then I just had a want to like research him a little bit more. And so after I had graduated in the '09 season from school, I said, "Hey, Coach Osborne, I know you're super close to Warren or Mr. Buffett. Would you be open to setting up a meeting for me to meet him and go and sit in his office?" And he was like, "I'm happy to. I'm not going to guarantee you that he'll meet with you because sometimes he meets with people, sometimes he doesn't. It just kind of depends." And so lo and behold, he set it up and he accepted to meet with me. And I went to his office 2 hours ahead of time, sat in his office in the lobby waiting for the meeting to start. And it started, and I mean, it was like talking to my dad. We sat there for 2, 3 hours, conversed, had an amazing time, and really just built a bond and a relationship ever since. And so we've remained close. And it's it's a relationship. Till this day, I still don't understand why I have it, other than reaching out and building it from that standpoint. But I think it's the one thing I've learned in life, if you don't open your mouth and you don't ask for certain things, you'll never understand. You'll never know if it's a possibility. And so my mom said, always ask questions and don't be afraid to reach out to people.
So, I mean, I tell my team and I tell my kids all the time, you have to dream big.
Mm-hmm.
And your job in life is to dream bigger than you can actually achieve. Because if you don't have those goals set to the highest point, you can't get there.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's the same thing. And to achieve that, you just got to say, there's no wall you can't walk through. So, I mean, you walked into that office and the bond and the knowledge you've been able to gather from just having the guts to ask for a meeting is endless. I mean, the man's the most successful investor ever.
Yeah.
And your mentor, which is just so cool.
Yeah.
You know, um,
No,
like dumbfounded by that.
yeah, no, and it's still crazy to this day, just all the different things that he's works on. And I mean, just as simple, like I opened up a package the other day because he sends out C's candy, which he controls, and it's a picture of him that he sends out as holiday candy every single year. And to me, it's like it's always astounding. Like I'm on that list with amongst all the other successful people that have been on that list for all the years. So it's a special relationship, and I definitely cherish it amongst all the other ones that I have from mentors and friendship.
What's the biggest thing you think you learned from him?
I think the biggest thing that I learned from Mr. Buffett is patience. I mean, I have a want to move fast and do things very, very quickly, but he's always told me one, have patience, and then two, be able to work with good people. Because if you notice in all of his companies, and I always wondered this too, is like, how do you make a decision? And it's like on like what you're going to buy and how where you're going to put your billions of dollars and things of that nature. And he was like, at the end of the day, like I don't care how good the company is, if they don't have good quality people running and operating it, it's going to be a dud at some point in time. You may see success because people have a liking to it and all these different things, but it's gonna start to crack and fizzle here and left and right if you don't have good quality management and people that are in charge. And so that's why he looks to first and foremost at that, and then obviously being patient to be able to find and go through those processes to make that right decision to then take down that elephant as everybody knows it.
And he's right. I mean, everything in that is dead on. I
Yeah,
mean, it always comes down to people, and it comes down to investing in them and riding the right horse. And it's no
correct.
different than a sport or a team or, a great player or anything of that nature. You've got to believe in your people.
Yeah.
And he has picked so good.
Mhm.
So your end goal is to obviously continue to invest, continue to learn. Where do you want to be? I mean, where do you want to take your restaurant side? What would make you happy?
The restaurant side of things, I think what would make me happy is being able to one, grow Kinnaman's, grow Bay's. There's the flagship restaurant group that I've been working with over the years, being able to working on some things of moving up to the parent company versus individual stores, which is a mutual thing that we both want to do and see about having that expire and grow a lot farther. They have some amazing Japanese steakhouse concepts, obviously the Boo Sushi concept, and some other things that are within there. And then I think my wife has something really, really exciting that I won't share because it's her baby. But I think overall there's a lot of just exciting things that people like to go out and enjoy themselves and have a good space to be able to do that. And I think one of the interesting pieces is that when you look at attire, and this is one thing that bothered me especially I go to the UK or even high end places in New York or wherever, maybe LA, there's always these unique dress codes where you got to have slacks or button downs or jackets or coats or something of that nature. And it's like, to me, like it shouldn't matter about what you're wearing. People express themselves with their clothing in a lot of different spaces. So I should be able to be welcomed no matter what I'm wearing, as long as I look somewhat presentable. Then that's the exciting part of being able to present and have them have a great time. And so I think my wife's concept in that lounge space is something very exciting. So being able to grow and push those different concepts forward would be exciting for me, and then kind of creating my own mini restaurant group would be exciting. But obviously, I think that comes with good partnerships, and maybe I might know some good people on the other side of this phone that could help me with that.
Yeah, maybe. Shh. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So you're big on family
Yep.
and you're big on giving back and you put your family first. And, every time we were on the phone, you mentioned your wife and your kids and, you know, how was growing up and how did you learn, what did family mean to you then and what does family mean to you now and the importance of, making that first?
So family to me, like I'll never forget between both my parents, like even to this day, they will be in my house and they won't speak to each other. But when it comes to one of us as their children, they will speak. They will make sure we're together and they make a collective decision. And my sister was homesick, leaving for college and coming back and whatnot. And just through that process of her going through that and having that distance from being home because she went to Mississippi State and God knows why she chose that other than she got a scholarship and was going to go play soccer. My parents always bonded together when it came to their children, and there was nothing that would keep them without having focus from that standpoint. So obviously between me and my wife being married, like I've always noticed like we should always put ourselves first and our kids first and our families first in anything that we do, because the stronger that we are, the stronger we work together on certain pieces, the better off we're going to be able to do in business and in all these different spaces. And so I think people have the other mindset of like grind, 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 forget about the family. I'll be able to do that when I have an opportunity and I'm super successful and have all the money. Well, you're not going to have a family back at that particular point in time. And so that to me is like how I've looked at it a little bit differently. My parents worked hard. My dad took me to job sites with him. I would go to sit in my mom's class when I was done with my own school from that standpoint. So my parents are always in a position to where they wanted us around, have us absorbed, and be a part of the family businesses. Whether it was both my parents had apartments growing up, so I had to cut lawns, I had to do these different things. I didn't get paid; that was my allowance. Or you want to go play soccer, like you want to go on the travel AAU team for basketball, whatever it may be. Well, we as a family collectively need to go take care of these apartments, make sure they're manicured, and then that additional income will then go towards you being able to have extracurricular activities and whatnot. So always having the family piece in there together and doing things as one is super important. And I mean, that's how I want my family to be. That's how I want me and my wife to be. And as my boys get older, as they just turned 3, I want them to be eventually be exposed to that hard work and that ethic of being able to say, you can still work hard, but you can also do it at the same time, not at the expense of your family.
I mean, that's what made you who you are, that experience and that work ethic that you got from that.
Yeah.
And what happens today so much is that kids get everything
Yeah.
and they're not forced to do those things. And, you lose track of that. And so listening to you and knowing you, I know your kids are going to have to go through the same things and stuff like that because it's what makes you great. It's what
Yeah.
makes them understand how hard things are and how important it is to always work hard.
And one thing I saw, I think I saw this on Instagram from Shaq, but Shaq says like, I'm rich, my kids are not rich, and I wholeheartedly believe that. And it's like, I'm
His
successful.
daughter, maybe. His
Yeah,
daughter could be. She's
yeah,
pretty good.
with her success. But it's like if he didn't kind of instill and say, "Hey, this is my success, and I will give you and afford you everything that you need," because people are just looking at, oh, he's like he doesn't care about his kids. No, if you actually look a little bit deeper from my viewpoint, it's like he's saying, like, I worked hard, I created all the success to make it easier for you, but I'm not going to make it easy for you. I'm going to put you through trials and tribulations so you have some sort of work ethic and you have some character versus saying, here, everything's handed to me, I'm golden and I can go from there.
When we were together, you brought up how you wanted to give back to athletes and how you wanted to help get them to understand the importance of what they're doing and what they can do with that income. Can you share a little bit about what your goals are there and how you want to give back?
Yeah. So for me, my first goal when giving back to professional athletes and people that are in my similar positions of being in sports and in entertainment is one, financial literacy. And then that financial literacy education should turn into implementation. And so that's why I've enjoyed mentoring younger guys and younger gals as well, to be able to say, like, all right, you're coming into tons of money or you're coming into successful and being in sports. It's not going to be something that's going to be live for a long period of time. So let's work together to start to, one, master your success in this particular arena of sports and entertainment, but also let's start to look forward to the future of what you want to be. And it's okay if you just want to be an athlete and you just want to be in sports. There's nothing absolutely wrong with that. But then that's going to change the model of how you create success in the future so you can live for a long period of time. Because shoot, your career could be 5 years, your career could be 15 years. You never know what that looks like. But then also if you have other passions in the future of saying, hey, I want to get into real estate, I want to get into venture, I want to get into gaming, I want to get into music, whatever it may be, I want to get into TV, I want to get into movies. Like there's multitude of relationships that I've been afforded. I mean, you want to talk about movies, you want to talk about shows, we can talk to Skydance. Easy enough. Great people over there to do stuff with. You want to get into real estate. Again, Stephen Ross. You can go talk to them and see all the different successful pieces that they're working on and how they have grown that from one, affordable housing at the very, very start to then all the fun projects that everybody knows is in Hudson Yards, being able to create a new city inside the city of New York. So like those are the different things that you want to start to get young girls and gals, guys and gals to think about, because If you don't, it's almost going to be too late. And then learn to leverage your celebrity, because your celebrity is going to open up a million doors for you, but that's only going to get you so far. You got to be able to start to learn and walk the talk, walk the walk and talk the talk when you get into these particular rooms. And so that's somewhat of the mentorship and excitement that I have. And I don't know if it'll be a company. I mean, it may be a small boutique company, but I think it's important to be able to pay it forward and give back to those girls and gals that are coming behind me.
That's awesome. So again, I could keep asking you questions forever, but I promised you it'd be short. I am really, really grateful that you said yes, and thank you for being a guest. You are an incredible human being that I'm very, very lucky that I got to meet, and that our friendship will continue to grow. So anyone who has not followed him or followed him as a player and hated him as a player, I promise you this man is incredible. And he has the heart of gold, and it makes what you see as a sports fan not real. And you are an exceptional father, an incredible business person, and more importantly, just a real, real good person. So, Sue, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for being part. And everybody, please go ahead and follow us on all our Instagrams, and make sure you download this podcast at craveworthybrands.com. And thank you for listening to Room for Seconds. Hey viewers, thanks again for supporting Room for Seconds. If you found this episode inspiring, interesting, or any bit informative, please hit that little subscribe button down at the bottom so you never miss an episode. In my 26 years in this amazing industry, I've been blessed with incredible mentorship. This show is my way of giving back. Follow me on LinkedIn, search Greg Majewski, on Twitter at Greg_Majewski. If you still have room for more, visit our website at media.craveworthybrands.com. You'll find more videos, shows, notes, blogs, resources, and an easy way to get in touch with the Craveworthy Brands team. I'm your host, Greg Majewski. Thanks again for tuning in to Room for Seconds.